Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello and welcome. I'm Gamechi Samandida and you're watching Pulse of Africa News live from Addis Ababa, the political capital of Africa. We've got a packed lineup of top stories shaping the continent today. We start with Ethiopia. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed today participated in a wreath laying ceremony at the Alley of Honor and the Victory of Monument in Baku ahead of his meeting with Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev. The Ethiopian leader paid tribute to those who sacrificed for Azerbaijan's unity and sovereignty, describing the monuments as powerful national symbols. Its monuments embody the unbreakable unity of the people. We would like to express a profound honor for those who sacrificed for the unity of Azerbaijan, Abiy shared on his social platform. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed arrived in Baku on Thursday for an official visit aimed at strengthening the growing partnership between Ethiopia and Azerbaijan. According to the Office of the Prime Minister, Abiy, accompanied by First Lady Zinash Tayacho and a high-level delegation, landed at Haidar Aliyev International Airport following an official invitation from President Ilham Aliyev, which he accepted. During his stay, Abiy held high-level talks with President Aliyev, focusing on the current state of bilateral relations and prospects for expanding cooperation in political, economic and strategic sectors. The Office of the Prime Minister noted that relations between Ethiopia and Azerbaijan have strengthened in recent years, marked by sustained diplomatic engagement and expanding areas of collaboration. Both countries have registered rapid development supported by forward-looking policies and an increasingly active international presence. The visit underscores Ethiopia's ongoing diplomatic outreach and Azerbaijan's growing engagement with African nations, reflecting a shared interest in diversifying partnerships and advancing mutual development goals. Botswana's Vice President and Minister of Finance, Nitabe Goleth, emphasized the need for greater investment in the southern African country's agricultural sector to reposition it as a central driver of economic diversification. Speaking at the Botswana Agriculture Business and Investment Forum, Goleth said the expanding agricultural production is critical to reducing the national import bill and increasing export earnings through value-added products. He identified meat processing, crop production, and nutraceuticals as priority areas for developing competitive export-ready products, while calling for investment in seed production, food processing, feed manufacturing, fruit tree plantations, controlled environment agriculture, and freshwater fisheries. The Botswanan government has set a target to increase agriculture's contribution to gross domestic product from 2% to 6%, as part of broader efforts to diversify the economy to reduce long-standing dependence on diamonds.
To ensure food security, rural development and agro-industrial opportunity, we must raise agriculture's contribution to GDP from 2% to, at the very least, the good doctor, at the very least, 6%. In the immediate term. This means repositioning agriculture from subsistence to a resilient, export-oriented agro-industrial sector built on value chains, agro-processing, and market access. Growth in agriculture will reduce our import bill and increase our exports. But more than that, it will restore dignity to production and pride to enterprise.
Acting Minister of Lands and Agriculture Edwin Dikalotti said the forum serves as a platform to mobilize investment, strengthen partnerships and translate policy into bankable projects that will transform Botswana's agri-food sector. Carla Mukavi, representative of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations FAO in Botswana, said that through global initiatives like the One Country, One Priority product, the FAO aims to assist Botswana in building competitive and sustainable value chains. These efforts will enable the country to access regional and international markets while creating jobs and increasing incomes locally, Mukavi said. Held under the theme Catalyzing Investments in Agri-Food Systems for Inclusive Growth and Food Sovereignty, the forum brought together over 400 participants, including investors, farmers, policymakers, producers and financiers. Regional military chiefs have emphasized close coordination between the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, during a meeting in Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown, on Thursday. The talks, chaired by Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada Bio, who is also ECOWAS chairperson, focused on mobilizing an initial 2,000 multinational troops by the end of 2026 to respond to terrorist threats. Participants stressed the need for close coordination between the two organizations to ensure regional security, despite the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger from ECOWAS to form the AES. Member states are expected to specify troop contributions with emphasis on self-financing and using internal sources before seeking external support. The push to activate the ECOWAS standby force comes amid escalating attacks in West Africa. According to the Global Terrorism Index, more than half of global terrorism-related deaths in 2024 occurred in the region, highlighting the need for a rapid, coordinated response.
This is Adwa Victory Memorial Museum. The museum has been built to commemorate the victory of Adwa. And what is the victory of Adwa? Well, on the 1st of March 1896, Ethiopian patriots fought against Italian aggressors at the Battle of Adwa. And Ethiopians gained a decisive victory over Italian colonizers. By the time almost all African countries had fallen under European colonization, Ethiopia's resounding victory over European colonizer sparked anti-colonial movement, anti-colonial struggle across Africa and black people around the world. Because of the victory of Adwa, Ethiopia is considered as a beacon of African independence and freedom. Tune into the Pulse of Africa for more stories of the victory of Adwa.
If you don't tell your story, it will be told by others. They'll talk of hunger, they'll talk of war, they'll talk of conflict, but they'll not say the things that are happening in Africa that are positive.
This is POA, a very new media organization in Ethiopia.
We have to be voice for ourselves. There is no one else that can tell our story better than us.
If it's defending African matters, then go for it. Go for Pulse Media.
This is the Pulse of Africa. Tune in, follow the journey, and learn about the news and what's shaping our African continent.
I am really impressed by the work that they're doing by telling the African story from Africa for Africans. I think it's definitely needed.
Please subscribe to the Pulse of Africa on all platforms.
Colombia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Yeson Arcadio Meneses, lauded Ethiopia's historic legacy as a profound source of inspiration for Afro-descendant communities in Colombia, across the Americas and throughout the Caribbean. Ambassador Meneses also highlighted expanding cooperation between the two nations in coffee production and climate action. He underscored that Ethiopia holds a unique place in the historical consciousness of Afro-descendant peoples, describing the country as the mother of humanity and civilization. Often referred to as the land of origin, Ethiopia is widely recognized as a cradle of early human history and civilization, as well as a powerful symbol of freedom and resilience for Africans and the global Black community. Ethiopia's decisive victory over Italy at the Battle of Adwa in 1896 remains a defining moment that inspired anti-colonial movements and strengthened the spirit of resistance among black communities worldwide. Ethiopia, for Afro-descendant people in Colombia, and, I think, for all Africans and the Caribbean region, is an inspiration, the ambassador affirmed.
Ethiopia for Afro-descendant people in Colombia, and I think in all Americas and Caribbean region, is an inspiration. We know the important role in the development of this movement, born in the Caribbean but then connected to motherland. So all this movement or all our struggles in Colombia, our history, is embedded by this vision of Pan-Africanism or decolonization, and we can continue, explaining some other concepts regarding or related to this historical connection we have in Latin America, Caribbean, and Colombia.
He emphasized that connecting with Ethiopia represents a reconnection with ancestral roots and shared historical identity. Beyond cultural and historical ties, the ambassador highlighted growing collaboration between Ethiopia and Colombia, particularly in the coffee sector.
Ethiopia, from the historical and anthropological perspective, we see it as the mother of humanity and civilization. That's our perspective. Then, being here as ambassador, we started implementing different collaborations, particularly in coffee. That's something that connects us, profoundly connects us as countries, Ethiopia and Colombia. So we are having a lot of collaborations and the different levels, technical levels, but also we're having several conferences talking about particularly how climate change is affecting or negatively impacting the production of coffee. And this is something very sensitive for our countries because our economy is very linked to this, the production of coffee.
Ethiopia occupies a unique symbolic place in the imagination of Afro-descendant communities in Colombia and across the Americas. As one of the few African nations to have largely preserved its sovereignty during the colonial era, Ethiopia has long represented resistance, dignity and self-determination. Often described as the land of origins, Ethiopia is also internationally recognized for its archaeological and anthropological significance. Discoveries such as the fossilized remains of Lucy in the Afar region have reinforced the country's reputation as a cradle of early human history, strengthening its symbolic connection to Afro-descendant populations seeking to reconnect with ancestral roots. Tunisia's Caisse de Dépôt et Consignations (CDC) announced the launch of the first cohort of the MER program, Market Access for Impact and Resilience. The financing mechanism targets green tech startups and small and medium-sized enterprises in their commercialization phase. The program aims to support industrial scale-up, facilitate initial market entry, and strengthen revenues for selected companies. MER prioritizes sectors linked to the green transition, including renewable energy, sustainable mobility, eco-construction, waste management, sustainable agriculture, water technologies, energy efficiency, and biodiversity, by providing financing at a stage when funding needs increase. For industrialization and commercialization, MER seeks to bridge the gap between seed funding and full commercial rollout. MER is deployed under the Green Tech Initiative led by Smart Capital and integrated into the Greenove project. The mechanism forms part of a broader financing framework that also includes VAIR, Venture Acceleration for Impact and Resilience, which supports startups in the ideation phase as they develop proofs of concept. The overall program plans to fund 32 early-stage startups and support 10 startups and SMEs in accessing markets with a target of roughly 300 direct jobs in green transition sectors. The launch comes amid limited funding for Tunisia's entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Proceeding Adwa. Remember this. The Europeans carved up our homes with bloodthirst, not because we were the third world, but because we were the first. Because we held gold in our hearts, because we had diamonds for eyes, because oil ran through our veins and a blessing hung in our skies. Remember this, that when they scrambled in the conference in Berlin and callously carved Africa, searing each African's skin, it was not because of their greed or need to sow seeds saturated with sorrow, but because through Africa's greatness they envisioned their own tomorrow, the beginning. Barriateri, the Italian general, had ice instead of eyes and a tongue of 5 leather whips. Ras Alula was deafened by the whisper of lies that seeped from his lips. Through Alula's agents who could read the tone of Ethiopian winds, their whisper, we will catch the Italian advance before the advance begins. And with anger, that of lions, and a swiftness of eagle's wings, Alula rose, magnificent, and rode to the foot of Menelik the king.
Moving on to our business headlines, the Senegalese Ministry of Finance and Budget announced the launch of the first public offering of securities POAs of the year, involving a bond issue of 200 billion CFA francs, equivalent to $361 million. It is intended to finance the state's budgetary needs and support economic and social priorities. The government stated in a press statement to APA that this operation, arranged by the management and brokerage firm Invictus Capital and Finance, is part of the medium-term debt management strategy and the state financing plan for 2026. It also aims to strengthen the development of the sub-regional financial market. The subscription period is often from February 26 to March 19, 2026. The funds raised will be used to cover the state's budgetary needs in accordance with the initial finance law and support the national transformation agenda. The ministry invites citizens, institutional investors and partners to actively participate in this operation in order to make it a collective success. Moving on to Mozambique. Mozambique is hosting a high-level meeting of African ministers of trade in the capital, Maputo, aimed at strengthening continental cooperation and advancing an inclusive trading system focused on sustainable development and industrialization. The two-day meeting, taking place Thursday and Friday, follows a preparatory session of senior officials and serves as a strategic platform to align Africa's trade priorities and reinforce the continent's collective voice in global negotiations. The gathering is expected to culminate in the adoption of the Maputo Ministerial Declaration, which will outline Africa's common position ahead of the 14th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization, WTO. Mozambique's government said the meeting seeks to harmonize positions among African countries within the multilateral trade system and to strengthen cooperation among member states and regional economic communities. The event brings together senior government officials and representatives from across the continent. The discussions build on the momentum of the African Continental Free Trade Area, a flagship integration initiative approved by the African Union in 2019 and operational since early 2021. The agreement covers a market of more than 1.4 billion people, representing a combined economic potential estimated at US dollars 3.4 trillion. To date, 49 countries have ratified the AFCFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area Treaty, which aims to significantly reduce or eliminate customs tariffs on intra-African trade, boost industrialization and enhance economic integration across the continent. The preparatory session focused on coordinating African countries' positions within the multilateral trading system with the objective of defending shared strategic interests at the upcoming global trade talks. Finally, sports. The Confederation Africaine de Football (CAF) has congratulated Gianni Infantino on his outstanding 10-year leadership as president of the Fédération Internationale de Football Association (FIFA). In a statement, CAF President Patrice Motsepe praised Infantino's contribution to the development and global growth of the game over the past decade. CAF congratulates Gianni Infantino on the excellent leadership that he has provided as FIFA president over the past 10 years and for his enormous contributions to the development and growth of football throughout the world, said Dr. Motsepe. African football and world football have a loyal and trustworthy friend and partner in Gianni Infantino, he said, adding, CAF wishes him good health and everything of the best. Infantino was first elected FIFA president in February 2016, succeeding Sepp Blatter at a time when world football's governing body was undergoing significant reforms. Since then, he has overseen major changes within FIFA, including governance reforms, expanded development funding for member associations, and the introduction of the new global competitions. Under his leadership, FIFA expanded the Men's World Cup from 32 to 48 teams starting in 2026 and significantly increased financial support to national associations and confederations through its Forward program. African member associations have been among the beneficiaries of increased development funding aimed at improving infrastructure, youth development, and women's football. Let's take a look at the weather forecast across Africa. That's it for the hour. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.